Ever felt like you were not qualified enough to make big life decisions? Like everyone else has it figured out, but you?
I feel like that all the time, friend. But sometimes you just have to sit back and count your blessings because they come in all sorts of different disguises. For instance, like you getting sick last week. By the way, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, me too. And it really was a moment of reckoning, a moment where, we were supposed to have our, first scheduled session to talk about imposter syndrome and really kick off the first of a few sessions throughout the year. And suddenly my body said, "Oh, no, you don't." And
Yep.
I found myself in that familiar situation where I'm doing that push and pull, but I got to do it. Like push yourself, but I can't think. But my body's saying, no, I can't get up. I can't move. And I remember calling you and saying, "Lauren, I think we need to reschedule." And even me getting to that place, knowing how I've pushed myself for like 20 years in the corporate world, being like, you got to do it, go anyway, take some stuff like medication and just push through. And for the first time since, leaving the corporate world, being entrepreneurial, um, I thought, wait a second, this decision is in my hands. And if I'm going to serve people properly on this topic, I need to lead authentically.
Mhm. Agreed.
So when I called you and you completely understood and said, "Yeah, no problem, let's reschedule." And it allowed us to not just look after ourselves and not worry about, "Oh, but we have to do this event," and all the potential attachments we could have to what does that mean for us if we don't do it, right? If we don't do it on this date, the time, the first date that we actually, we committed to. And we had to just let that go and say, okay, this stuff happens. People get sick. Business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, parents, our
Mhm.
friends, our family, people get sick.
Mhm.
And how you handle that and how you honor yourself in that process will actually lead to more meaningful, longer term success versus a short term win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so one of the blessings that came out of your untimely illness, and I'm sorry about that,
Yeah.
was it actually gave us the time and the space to figure out and really articulate what we want this sanity project to look like. And what we came and landed upon was the Sanity Project is a place for women and their allies to learn how to navigate the emotional spaces between money, work, relationships, all while maintaining our sanity in an increasingly complex and fast paced world. The Sanity Project is, as you said, an ongoing quarterly gathering of like-minded people who are looking for a community to help them grow personally and professionally. And the way that we do that is by teaching you how to navigate, but not at the expense of your personal sanity.
Yeah. And so, we can call it a forced reschedule, but I'm going to call it a chosen reschedule because I had to make the choice.
Mhm.
Be okay with making that shift, with actually calling up my friend and partner here in this project and say, "I think we need to make this change. And here's why. And I need to honor my body." And also, before I even got to that place, it was about tackling my own imposter syndrome in that moment and thinking, wait a second, let me go through mine for a moment, work through it, and realize that I need to lead the way in this.
Because imposter syndrome shows up like perfectionism and taking control over tasks and, feeling anxiety over failure, right?
Yeah.
I think we all, you and I both went through all of these experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was really special, and I'm going to talk about this more in a moment, is that I had you as part of my community who was someone who was understanding, didn't think less of me, still saw me as, the leader, the intelligent, skilled and experienced person in this field, and didn't make it a big deal. And I think that's really so important in the work that we're doing and in what we're bringing to people when we talk about, the sessions that we're going to have this year, starting with the one on March 26th. That is our revised date, and we are super excited about it. And I feel pumped up, and it is definitely happening. So March 26th, same location at Verity Club, in person. We have a few spots left, or virtually, wherever you are in the world to join us.
Annie, in our forced reschedule, it gave us the opportunity to better articulate really what the Sanity Project is all about. And what we came to discover and what we really decided on was that we are interested in supporting others in getting through this thing called life, RIP Prince. And today, life means money, family, work, health. So, really, the Sanity Project is this cumulative, curated event series for professionals that want to make some meaningful, lasting growth and changes in their lives, personally and professionally. So, our events are thoughtfully designed and curated to address these key areas of life that often require our attention.
So the Sanity Project as a whole is the umbrella term, is the term we're using for the cumulative curated event series. Each session is building on the other.
And in our 2025 series on March 26th, we are going to be talking about imposter syndrome so that we can restore and take control of our life and the stories that we tell ourselves.
Working through where you're at in life and what are your natural instinctive strengths. And not the ones that people impose on you, but the ones that truly, when you connect with yourself, you realize, yeah, that's me. And not only is it okay, but I'm going to make the most use of this and
Mhm.
advocate for myself. And I'm going to find the right people around me who are going to be attracted to that, who are going to need my strengths, and I'm going to need theirs. So we're kicking it off with imposter syndrome, but there's so much more that we're working through. And if you watch our first recording, which we'll post here, as well as the live that we did, we really go through a few of some of those topics just to give you an idea of how we're talking about it, how we're guiding you through it, some of the tips we provided as well, and how we're
Mhm.
going to dive in into the 2-hour webinar and workshop. The second one that we'll be doing in the summer is going to be around emotional financial literacy. And that's how we explore the emotional aspects of managing finances effectively and impactfully and in a fulfilling way to us, whatever that means to each person. And we're going to sort through that and help you figure it out.
And in the fall, we're going to do a session called Building Social Capital. And social capital is a really important concept today for all of us to understand because it's not only the social networks that we work and thrive in or try to thrive in, but it's also about representation. And so this session is learning how to navigate these systems like the TikTok and LinkedIn, as well as your professional organizations, to create these valuable connections while you pursue your professional development.
Yeah. And for those that register, I know the number one question is, hey, I really want to be there. I really want to learn this. I really want to uncover this for myself with your guidance,
Hmm.
but I may not be able to make it, or I may not be able to make all of it. Is it recorded?
Absolutely. Because what we also know is that when we're in the thick of things, we don't catch all of the messaging. And so when we have the recording, it gives us the opportunity to revisit the session and then experience it through a different light and lens. You're going to be in a different headspace in a different location. So you will get much more out of it by being there live and revisiting it as a recording.
Yeah, I know that when I'm attending a workshop or a webinar or some kind of program, even when I show up live, I will, because I'm committed to my journey. Because I'm committed to my journey and my self-development, and I know I need to work through something, because once I get through this part of it, then I know that there's something juicy waiting on the other side. There's something
Yes.
like even bigger than I could have possibly imagined, like life's magic, right?
Oh, and
And I,
that might be a long sleep in on a Saturday morning and a hot cup of coffee,
yeah.
or that trip to Fiji. Depends on your thing, right?
Yeah. And so register for our workshop coming up. Not only will we start to guide you through, what this is for you, because between the two of us, we've got a ton of experience,
Oh
both
yeah.
in the financial, services field where so we get the money.
50, 50 plus years of combined
Yeah,
experience,
it's crazy.
plus all of the letters and accreditation and that come after our respective names.
Yeah.
You know, um,
And
this
I
is
would add,
important.
yeah, and I would add that our diverse life experiences too. Like between the two of us, we might have some overlapping experiences, but we actually have quite a few unique experiences that we can empathize and understand with each other, but we haven't quite been through that exact thing. And so between the two of us, we cover quite a bit of life wisdom learned.
And the beautiful part about our uniqueness and the unique messages and stories and experiences that we bring is that it helps us learn and it helps us empathize with others.
Yeah,
And that's really a key piece to all of this work that we're going to do, right? Is it's about treating ourselves first and foremost a little kinder, which in turn means that we treat everyone else a little kinder.
yeah. So Lauren, can you tell us a little bit more about the March 26th event?
Totally. So on March 26th, don't forget, this is all about our imposter syndrome and how it impacts our life. So the first thing is we're going to identify who the liar is that's telling you that you're not enough, because you might be surprised by who that person is or is not. We're then going to recognize really what the cost or the impact is that the liar has on our lives. Remember, work, money, family, health. The liar impacts all of those areas. And then the last thing is you're going to actually learn some really neat practical strategies for you to deal with the liar and eradicate him or her or it for the most part. And this is all about discovering how to confront and deal with the liar to reclaim your power. It's going to be a great session. It's going to fly by. I don't even know if 2 hours is going to be enough,
Honestly, yeah. But that's
but
what we've got.
this is where we start, right?
I want to ask you something, Lauren, and we
Yeah.
haven't practiced this. I didn't tell you. I was going to
Mm,
ask this because I just thought of it
okay.
as you were talking about it. But what would you say to those who are thinking, "Well, I don't know if I'm ready to tackle the liar in my head," and that kind of sounds scary. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I'm going to be okay with what I find.
Firstly, I would say to that person, I hear you. And I respect exactly the position you're in. But I also know, as being that person that has been there, right? Suffered from terrible imposter syndrome setting up my practice management company. As an individual who has worked in financial services for 25 plus years, to go out on their own and say, "Hi, I'm a practice management expert, but I've never sold a financial product or service in my whole entire life." That's hard. But when you learn how to navigate and deal with the imposter syndrome and that awful little voice that tells you that you can't and you're not worthy, amazing things happen. And so it sometimes takes a little leap of faith, and that's hard. But this is why, and I think why the Sanity Project is A, needed, and B, going to be a huge success, because you and I are curating a really comfortable, safe place for people to come and be vulnerable
Yeah.
because we've been there. You know, you and I respectively have picked up and dusted ourselves off from some pretty interesting career crashes
And personal life crashes.
and personal life crashes
Yeah.
and have lived to tell the tale. And so not only are we living, we're not surviving, we're thriving.
Yeah.
And so I would just lastly say to that person, you know, your life doesn't have to be like this.
Yeah.
There is a better way to live,
Oh, I feel that. I feel that.
right?
And when you talked about surviving and thriving, I just got to add to this because I thought I'm going to ask Lauren first, and I had the question, but hadn't thought about my answer, so I just like kind of threw you in there. But,
Thanks.
but you know, so many people over the years have said to me, "You're so strong. You're such a survivor." And there came a point where I said, "I'm tired of being a survivor. I want to be a thriver." And this was like way before I knew you, Lauren, and way before we even had this conversation. And I already knew at that point that I needed to do more work, you know, self work. I needed to do more of the inner development, but I couldn't do it by myself. I needed somebody around me who had been there, done it, knew how to hold me and the space and my energy and, you know, my challenges, my concerns, my fears, my doubts, all of that, and my hopes and my dreams and my wishes, and not judge me, you know, help me feel safe and allow me the space and the time to be on my journey and grow at my own pace. So,
Because
yeah.
where we are today is not where we are tomorrow or
Yes.
5 years. And it
Yes.
was interesting. I don't know who I heard this from. It was a big stage, main stage speaker, and they were talking about how looking at your life in 5 and 10 year increments is incredibly self-limiting because, you know, unless you only plan on doing these things for a finite period of time, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of looking at our lives as 5, 10 year projects, let's just scrap the whole thing and say, I just want to live a good, peaceful life where I don't feel crazy.
Yeah. And we're not asking our participants to have it all figured out after an hour or two.
No! Heck, we don't even have it all figured out,
Right. But we
right?
do know what's the next right step. Because
Exactly.
individually we've explored that for ourselves. And then when we come together to work on something like this and collaborate, because we found ourselves in a community, we built a connection, and then we thought, hey, let's collaborate. Right. And that flowed really easily, but we didn't foresee that coming into that community.
And it is this willingness that and this spirit of willingness really that we want to share with others
Yeah.
because we know, and let's not be disingenuous about this, but we know that when we collaborate with others, like this is where the prosperity, the fulfillment, our purpose and service is being upheld. Like it's bigger than ourselves. We're not competing against each other, right?
Yeah.
And I always say that. Like somebody once asked me, like, "Oh, don't you worry about Annie taking your business, stealing your business?" And I'm like, "Nope," because I'm going to tell you why. We don't compete against each other.
Yeah.
Even though we talk about the same things, really,
Yeah.
we deal with our clients at different points in their life.
Yeah.
And we need to honor people where they're at.
Yeah.
We have to stop jamming people like, here's our system. If you just contort and work yourself into this box and do all these steps,
You'll be healed.
healed. Right? And you and I are like, yeah, no, no. no healing, just
Yeah.
a lot less, to use a real Laureanism, a lot less suckage,
Yeah.
right? Like your life is just going to suck less. And once your life starts sucking less, it gets better.
So much better.
And when you feel better, money comes, happiness comes, relationships improve.
Yeah.
And anybody who says, well, my professional life has nothing to do with my personal life, I call foul, and that's a liar that you need to address.
Oh, yeah, they're so interrelated. So I just want to round it off by
Mhm.
saying to the person who's listening to this, maybe there's more than one, who's saying, hey, I know I need to do this, but I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of scared of what I'll find, or I'm kind of scared of how I'll be judged, or, if there's any kind of like uneasy feeling, I would say to that person, all you need to do is show up. That's it.
Show up virtually.
Yeah. Show up
Even say
virtually, but show up
even
for
safer.
yourself.
But yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
show up
uh,
for yourself and just show up. And there's a saying out there that
mhm.
says, "Oh, showing up is half the battle." And I'm going to tell you, from my opinion and my experience, showing up, and many times in my life, has been way more than half the battle. It was like most of the battle just to show up. But every time I did, the rewards, the people, the ideas, the everything just kind of syncing up. And even though I didn't feel good showing up, when I left that place, that event, that workshop, that whatever it was,
You are
I,
grateful you did.
I was grateful that I did, and I felt so much better about myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that there was something calling me, that I had to show up and do my part for me. And inevitably, not only did I benefit from showing up, and it did move me forward in my journey, in my development, but I contributed to someone else's life in a really beautiful, constructive way.
So I talk about being in service to others all the time. And that's my work with my recovery clients. But it is such a beautiful notion because when we give of ourselves for others, you get it back 20-fold.
We'll put the QR code somewhere, or we'll put the link in the description and the comments so you can find us. And I'll also link up to the first two videos that we've already done,
Yeah.
where we shared so much information, real life examples, tips on how to get started. And that's just kind of scratching the surface. Our 2-hour workshop is going to allow you to dive into your own personal experience and what you really are looking for more in your life, and
Mhm.
how you can make that possible in the way that works for you, not based on
Not
anybody else's.
anybody else.
Yeah, not anybody else, not their definition of you. And so just to recap, on March 26th, between 3 to 5 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time, we are going to talk about uncovering the identity of the liar, that judgy part in your brain, and who tells you you're not enough. Recognizing the impact of that judgy part of your brain, of the liar in your head, of the stories you've been told, and understanding how these negative beliefs influence your personal and professional life, especially when it comes to money, because it's all emotional, but
Yep.
it is a tool that can really serve us well, but it starts with us first. And you're going to learn some practical strategies. You're going to have tools, you're going to have things to take with you as well, so that you can continue the work until our summer session, where we'll dive in a little deeper. And that's going to help discover how we confront and deal with all the nonsense, the liar, the judge, the critic in our brain, so that we can actually reclaim our power. You get to reclaim your power, the power that's already
Your
within you,
sanity.
your sanity. Oh, it's so
My
understated.
God. Yes.
So we're going to create a supportive community. We're going to uplift each other. We're going to make meaningful changes. You have no idea what's coming, but all you need to do is show up.
Show
So
up.
register, and we'll see you there.